February 1, 1899, the 391-ton four-masted schooner James Baird was blown onto Santa Rosa Island and wrecked. About 300 yards from Santa Rosa Island is a shipwreck identified as the Catharine, a Norwegian lumber hauler that was blown onto a shifting sandbar during a storm in 1894. On the northwestern coast of Florida is the site of more Boleg's treasure hoards. He was believed to be one of the pirate Lafitte's top men and for some time lived near New Orleans. After the Battle of New Orleans, he cut his ties with Lafitte, moved to Santa Rosa Island near Pensacola where he started his own pirate kingdom. Legend says that on a small island in Santa Rosa Sound, he buried most of his gold and silver bars. Nearby on the mainland, he deposited the bulk of his coins. In the hold of his ship was another $1 million in miscellaneous loot. This ship was later sunk and has never been recovered. St. George Island. William Augustus Bowles, also known as Bolegs, is rumored to have buried a lot of treasure on the island. A historical marker inside St. George Island State Park notes that the island was where a ship carrying pirate William Augustus Bowles wrecked in 1799 while in the process of bringing him back to Florida. Bowles' rich history began as a British soldier, but he was thrown out of military service in Pensacola for insubordination. He married into the family of a Lower Creek Seminole chief, and he later returned to help the British in the Battle of Pensacola during the American Revolution. He later tried to create a Native American empire in Florida. Bowles was captured by the Spanish, escaped, made his way to England, and with the help of the English he was being returned to Florida on the HMS Fox. The warship ran aground on the east end of St. George Island and today still bears the name Fox Point. At this same time, U.S. Commissioner Andrew Ellicott was surveying the boundary line between what was then Spanish Florida and the United States, and his schooner was traveling down the Apalachicola River into Apalachicola Bay. The Fox captain, James Wooldridge, sent Ellicott the following message. As there is no possibility of saving the schooner, I trust, sir, your humanity will induce you to stop here, and devise with me some means of removing these unfortunate men, who have nothing more than some provisions saved from the wreck to exist on, the island producing nothing. On the contrary, for 2 days during the late gale the sea made a breach over it, so that for those 2 days we were with nearly 2 feet water on the ground. Bowles also sent a letter requesting an audience with Ellicott. Ellicott could only provide humanitarian assistance in the form of food supplies, but he did talk with Wooldridge and Bowles. Of Bowles, he recorded that he behaved on all occasions whilst with me in a polite and friendly manner, and generously furnished me with the necessary charts and directions for sailing round Cape Florida, a matter of great importance to me. Bowles finally made it to shore, continued his efforts at creating a state of Muskogee, and went on to command a flotilla of pirate ships that preyed on Spanish shipping in the Gulf of Mexico. And he is indeed the pirate celebrated at Fort Walton Beach as Billy Bolegs. Today, St. George Island State Park is open daily from 8 a.m. until sunset. The park is located at 1900 E Gulf Beach Drive on St. George Island. St. George Island was the site in 1763 for an English schooner loaded with 160 kegs of Irish whiskey to run aground on the eastern end. Some researchers believe the kegs to be buried in the area, and a strongbox from the same ship, containing $10,000 in British coins, has not been found. Bald Point. Bald Point is another site for Boleg's treasure. 3 chests are believed to have been buried somewhere near a freshwater spring, and a Confederate blockade runner lies offshore with over $200,000 in U.S. gold coins believed aboard. There are rumors that gold coins have washed ashore here and have been found. Port Leon. Founded in 1837 3 miles below St. Marks on the east bank of the St. Marks River. As a prosperous port for the cotton plantations, it is a ghost town now and might yield up many interesting artifacts including old bottles, jewelry, coins, etc. The Tallahassee Railroad reached the town in 1839 as it and freight wagons were bringing some 30,000 to 40,000 bales of cotton a year into the area ports. A bridge across the St. Marks River tied the port to the railroad and the docks for loading on ships bound for the East Coast. Port Leon received a post office in 1840 and was incorporated in 1841. In the same year, the town endured a severe yellow fever epidemic. On March 11, 1843, it became the county seat of Wakulla County, but on September 13, 1843, a strong hurricane with a 10-foot storm surge hit the area and destroyed the town as well as heavily damaging nearby Magnolia and St. Marks. Port Leon was abandoned and many of its residents moved inland. Port Leon had several hundred citizens at its peak with 8 to 10 businesses, some wharves, warehouses, a hotel, 2 taverns, a newspaper. James Warnke in his Ghost Towns of Florida says, many of the merchants in the area were making fair sums of money, and because there wasn't a bank within 20 miles, they buried or hid any surplus wherever they felt it might be safe. When the yellow fever epidemic swept the town, many people died before telling their relatives where the family cash was hidden. Caches of gold and silver coins continue to be found. A hurricane and tidal wave completely destroyed the town in September 1843, and survivors went north to establish Newport. Outlines of the streets can be seen on higher ground, and there are some old dikes and pilings. From US 98, take SR 363 south to St. Marks. Port Leon is across the St. Marks River on the Old Florida Scenic Trail. You can get there by going to St. Marks National Wildlife Refuge and walk the 3-mile trail to Port Leon. St. Marks is another old seaport semi-ghost town. Panama City Beach. In 1824, the merchant schooner Two Brothers sank during a hurricane with a cargo of copper, and in 1791, the Spanish galleon San Angelo went down with 500,000 in gold and silver bars. In modern times, the beaches of Panama City have always yielded up good jewelry finds. Longtime beachcombers recommend using your detector at these beaches, which are along US Alt 98. Hollywood Beach, Laguna Beach, Panama City Beach and Pier, Bay County Pier and Park. Along CR 392A are Gulf Lagoon Beach, Biltmore Beach, Panama City Beach and St. Andrews State Recreation Area. Cape San Blas. Believed to be the site of more Bowlegs' buried treasure. A reef is located off the cape and early records indicate several shipwrecks there that could create interesting washups on shore. According to one author, the wrecks include Spanish brig Ferdinand VII in 1852, the schooner Kiel B that wrecked March 1875, schooner Herman Ulrich's wreck, 1910. Another story tells of an unidentified pirate ship loaded with treasure going down near the entrance in the early 1800s. In 1856, the steamboat Florida wrecked near Highland View and a Spanish man-o-war supposedly wrecked and washed ashore in 1850, Apalachicola Bay. The Santa Ana Maria Juncal under the command of Capt. General Marquis de Catarayada is reported to have sunk on June 2, 1611 in the area of Cabo de Apalache, or Cape, or Point of Apalache. Records indicate the boat contained several million in treasure. The ship was one in the convoy of the New Spain flota commanded by Captain General the Marquis de Catarita. An unidentified galleon sunk in 1819 with 2 million in gold and silver. Apalachicola was the site of sinking of the Confederate blockage runner Three Sisters just in the bay north of St. George Island. Interested divers might inquire about this ship and rumored cargo including gold and $500,000 in silver bars and many Spanish coins. There are rumors of $5 million in gold of Bowlegs' hidden treasure hidden somewhere in the West Pass to Apalachicola Bay. Steinhatchee River. 3 Civil War treasures are believed to be buried along the Steinhatchee River, which empties into Deadman Bay in Taylor County. A Confederate blockade runner chased by a Union ship was scuttled at the mouth of the river. The crew buried $500,000 in silver close by. Another blockade runner hiding near the mouth of the river buried $140,000 in gold coins when a Federal gunboat appeared. Union soldiers buried a cache of gold coins 5 miles from the mouth of the river. The Steinhatchee River, Choctawhatchee Bay. Billy Bowlegs is rumored to have buried $76 millions in gold and specie on an island facing Choctawhatchee Bay. Treasure hunters have been successful in making some finds over the years. Deadman's Island. This island is located off Gulf Breeze, and it was here between 1763–1781 that an English ship went down. State underwater archaeologists believe they have found one, but there are 2 additional ones to be found.